What's up, everyone? Class is now in session. Welcome to the Foy's DFS Flip. I'm your host, the realist, the Shuaist, and the BS Best. Real Shua will be across all social media. Shua at Foy's.biz for business inquiries and booking. Today, this is episode 1 of the Foy's DFS Flip. Basically, what we're trying to do here, I'm creating this little show. I'll try to make a post every single day. And my goal is to help you guys win at daily fantasy sports, namely NBA. I might start dabbling in some different contests and stuff like that, different sports. But right now, I'm pretty heavy on NBA. Now, if you're new to the world of NBA fantasy sports and you're interested in checking things out, I've got an offer that'll make things a lot sweeter for both of us. If you follow my link that's in the description, upon your first deposit of $5, all you gotta do is put $5 in. We play a lot of quarters, 50-cent games, so I'll coach you through how to make that $5 stretch. But okay, so yesterday, April 20th, we had a pretty solid day. I think we only bet like 75 cents. I played the quarter boot jukebox and the minimax, brought back $4.75. So that's like what? About 7 times profit. You know what I mean? Not too shabby. 6 1/3. Let's see. Now, one thing that sucked was that I overslept. It was a Saturday, so game started kind of early, and I had picked Moose Monroe because they had that doubtful tag on Joel Embiid. But I know how that is with Joel Embiid. Like, he could be listed as doubtful, and he could do like he did last night. He played, and Joel Embiid pretty much spazzed. He got just below 8x. He ended up getting 31 points, 16 rebounds, 7 assists, 6 blocks. Dude went crazy. It's pretty clear that there's nothing Brooklyn can do to stop Embiid, even if he's hobbled. It doesn't matter. If Embiid's playing, he's always chalk. As you can see, I thought Embiid wasn't going to play, so I ran Moose Monroe. You could tell by the 6.48% ownership that not a lot of people thought he was going to play. I said Monroe got way more ownership than Embiid, so that should say something for you there. But I did, however, get some great picks. Blake Griffin, he wasn't supposed to play. He was listed as questionable. A lot of people were scared to take Blake. I rocked with Blake. And 4.7% ownership. He brought me back he brought me back 48.75 DraftKings points. So, like, his total was 7,400. So that's pretty good. I think that's what, 7x, 6.5x. Yeah. So the way to really break that lineup down is to look at it like good money and bad money. Guys who cashed out more than what they were supposed to. I had 33,400 at 7.27x. Bad picks that were kind of caused by the whole Embiid fiasco. I ended up with 16,600, which was 3.5x. So that's a pretty good ratio. It was enough to be chalk, give me 6x overall, pretty much, a little under 6x. I think that 6x is going to pretty much guarantee you money line. Sometimes 6x is the win. The goal is to try to get 8x or as close as you can to 8x overall. So a 6 is pretty nice. Okay, so the day, though, is April 21st, and we're going to go ahead and get into today's games. I'm going to start with Indiana-Boston. Now, there's not a whole lot going on here. There's a couple guys in this game who I like, who I think are going to do pretty good. The first of those guys is Kyrie Irving. I feel like it's a great chance for him to assert his playoff dominance. He's got a really high floor and an even higher ceiling. He's averaging 37 minutes per game and 49.83 fantasy points per game. That's about a 5.5x average. I'm thinking that against a down 3-0 deflated Indiana Pacers team, we're going to see a new side of Kyrie Irving. I'm thinking it's a closeout game. They can try to get the first sweep of the playoffs. And I think Kyrie is going to spaz out. Like, I'm thinking that he can exceed value. He'll exceed his average of 5.5x. I'm thinking 6 or 7x from Kyrie. Kyrie looks pretty good in this game. But other than that, the only other guy Jaylen Brown. Ever since they announced that Marcus Smart, basically last game, they announced that Marcus Smart was going to be out for a longer period of time than expected. They've slid Jaylen Brown into the starting role, and he is thriving there. He's got a really low price point, 4,900. I'm thinking that we could see 8 or 9x from him easily, like 7x for sure. I'm thinking Jaylen Brown's a pretty good value pick. But other than that, there's not much that stands out to me in this game. Now, the next game I'm going to cover here is the Golden State Warriors Los Angeles Clippers game. That's a 2:30 game. It's relatively early for a basketball game at least, but it's Sunday, so things generally go that way. There's a few guys who really stand out to me here. First, Lou Will. Lou Will's been doing pretty good in this series. He's the Clippers' everything, and he's been showing it. He's been the reason why the series isn't 3-0 right now, and I think that Lou is due. We're at Staples right now, and I think that the Clippers need to leave with a win. If they go back to Oakland down 3-1, the series is over. So we're going to get really good play out of Lou Will. He's got a really cheap price point, 7.3, 7,300. I'm thinking we can get 8x out of Lou Will low-key. I'm thinking I could see a 55, a 60. Like, Lou Williams is a pretty good pick. He's a standout, really good value guy. Some more guys who are standing out. You've got Klay Thompson. He's a pretty safe pick. He's liable to get you your money back. His floor is 4x, but, I mean, his ceiling, he gets 60-plus points. I mean, he's likely to go off. He hasn't had a game yet this series, and with more usage available with DeMarcus Cousins out, they're switching Patrick Beverley off of Kevin Durant. So I'm thinking that with Klay being locked down by with Steph being locked down by Patrick Beverley, Klay Thompson might be a pretty good pick. I'm thinking we could see some value from him. Kevin Durant, that's a tough call. Like, I'm gonna fade Kevin Durant, like low key. Kevin Durant, he's been pretty good. I think that last game he just finally learned how to exploit the mismatch. He's much taller than Patrick Beverley. I think that all the Clippers need to do is make some adjustments, and Kevin Durant won't have a game like that. It's going to be in someone else's hands, for sure. Now, here's a good pick for you guys. This is probably my favorite pick of this whole slate. It's going to be JaMychal Green. Because JaMychal Green, I think he's going to slide into the starting lineup this time. We're going to see a major uptick in minutes from JaMychal Green. I'm talking north of 30. He's going to be there to guard Kevin Durant. And I think that he's a point-per-minute guy. So if we can get 35 minutes out of him, we could probably get 35 fantasy points. So at a price point like 3,900, that's a guy who I'd go for sure. And finally, let's see. Another guy we can't forget is Monsta Trez. He's been doing pretty great in this series. He gets about 1.5 fantasy points per minute, which is pretty good. I think that with the mismatch with Andrew Bogut, we're going to see Montrez do his thing, and he's going to, I'm thinking 6x, 7x at 6,500. He's got a 30-point floor, which would bring back 6.4x, and that's if it's a blowout, But I'm thinking that I could see him 40, a pretty solid 40, which would be 7 or 8x. Montrez is a pretty good pick as well. Let's see, and that's all I've got for that game. Okay, so the next game that I want to talk about is going to be Toronto-Orlando. That's a 6 p.m. game. We're getting into normal times now. Few guys who stand out to me. You got Vuce. That's a cheap price for Vuce. I mean, I'm sure he had a couple of bad games in the series that's lowered his value a whole lot. That's a guy you normally see around the 10,000 mark. In the regular season, he was 9,600, 9,700. Vuce was expensive. I think that in a position like this where they're down 2-1, if Toronto wants to stay alive, if Orlando wants to stay alive, Vuce's going to have to ball. You're going to have to, and they need that. They can't go back to Toronto down 3-1, same position the Clippers are in, or else it's over with for these boys. So I'm expecting a big game from Vusi. I'd say he's pretty chalk. Now the next two guys I'm going to talk about, Kawhi Leonard and Pascal Siakam, they're pretty much interchangeable. I'd say Kawhi is probably the likely one in this situation where where the Raptors need a win. I think Kawhi, he's averaging 42 points in the series. I'm expecting closer to his upside, so about 50, which would be a nice 6.3. At 7,900, that's a pretty good price, pretty great value. Another guy, Siakam, it's pretty much the same thing. He's averaging 45 points. That's 6x on average at this price, and I'm thinking that he's pretty chalk. Like, I would put Siakam on the boards. Like, no need to really investigate this one. His ceiling, 50 points at 7x. You know what I mean? I think, well, with him averaging 6x, he's probably the safer pick of the two. But either of these guys are pretty interchangeable. Another standout is Terrence Ross. Again, he's in the same position as Vusi. If they're going to win, they're going to need a performance from Terrence Ross. He managed to show up last game, and I think that he can repeat that. He can do it again. So Terrence Ross, if he was to do the same thing he did last game, we could see he's averaging 27 fantasy points, which is 5x. I mean, it's a pretty safe pick. His ceiling isn't as high, but the price is pretty low. But I think from that average, he's liable to bring home 5x, but I'm thinking you can get 6 or 7 from him. Another standout, Jonathan Isaacs. It's the same type of thing. Isaacs is the only one long enough to prevent Siakam and Leonard from just balling out and going crazy on Orlando. I mean, they can't really defend many positions. So utilizing Jonathan Isaacs properly, I feel like, last game he had a lot more usage. He took a lot more shots than normal. He only made 2 of his 3-pointers, but he got 7 attempts. I think Isaacs is a good way to go too. At 4,600, that's great value. Or 4,800, sorry. Still potential for great value if he can get a 33. Again, if he can repeat even close to his performance last time, let's say he gets a 30, that's still going to be 7x. Isaacs is pretty chalk. That's pretty much it for that game. One guy who I want to talk to you guys about is Patrick McCaw. Now, this is one I don't want you guys to quote me on. It's possible, but it's improbable. But if I hear anything that makes me feel like this is a go, it's a go. I'm 100% taking McCaw if I feel like McCaw's going to get the minutes, because McCaw's a point per minute guy, and at 2,500, that's just entirely too cheap. I'm thinking that, in the case of a standard game, if they decide to play him, he's going to be liable to get about 15 to 25 minutes, and that's going to be barring whether or not it's a blowout or not. But if he gets 15 minutes and he gets a point per game, a point per minute, I think that on the low end, we're looking at 6x. If he can get 25 minutes, we're looking at 10x from McCaw. That would be ridiculous. That would be an injection of I'm telling you, that's one to watch. The Twitter link is going to be in the description of this video. Follow me on Twitter. I will have updates before the game. I'll let you know whether McCaw is chalk or to fade him. And hopefully this play here will be one that can help you guys get that bankroll. Just keep an eye out. You got to follow me on Twitter. Subscribe for notifications. That way you get notified when I post something, because all my posts are I try not to make bad posts. I'm anti-shit post. So all my posts are going to be quality information that's usable. But that's pretty much all I got for that game. I'm going to go ahead and get in the next. Okay, so this one's going to be the last game of the night, and this is where a lot of your value is going to be. This is where all your studs are. A few plays I want to mention. Russell Westbrook, the guy is a walking triple-double. But the last couple games, he hasn't gotten his triple-double. He's been lagging on the boards. He got close the game before last, and last game, he didn't get as close as normal. but he still balled out. It's because he had to take a lot of extra. He had to do a lot of extra work on the offensive end. He shot a lot better this game, so he got the ball a lot more. He spent a lot more time out at the three-point line, but he made 4 of his 6 3-point attempts, which is pretty good. I mean, that's what you got to ask for Russell Westbrook. Now, I feel like OKC can't go back to Portland down 3-1, and we're in a position where it's all or nothing. So we're going to see Westbrook go ham. It's going to be one of two things. Either he's going to miss a ton of shots or he's going to play right. Now, in order for the Thunder to win, it requires 2 things first. There's 2 pivotal key elements. One, you got to get Westbrook has to have a triple-double, and it has to be a clean triple-double. He can't be just stuffing stats. It can't be a forced triple-double like it has to be a clean triple-double. And the second thing that has to happen is you need 35 from Paul George. Now, he's been falling short of that. Like, he hasn't been seeing his upside, but because of that, we are getting the cheapest Paul George we have ever seen, 8,900. I feel like Paul George is chalk this game because we're in OKC. We're at a place where the Thunder have to win. They have to win or else this series is over pretty much. I mean, they're going to be 3-1 in Portland. Portland's going to close it on them. So what they'll have to do, Paul George is going to have to make some of these shots. He's got to stop going 3 for 16 and 2 of 7, and he's got to make some of these shots. And if we get that out of Paul George, you're going to see, you will see value return super, super high. I feel like with his floor of 5x, you can't really go wrong there. But his ceiling is like 7.6x. His ceiling is 10x. I'm sorry. With his floor of 5x and his ceiling of 6.5, I think that this is a good place. You could allocate a large portion of your funds and get back a decent amount. Now, on the Portland side, there's 2 guys just the same who are studs of really high value. You've got Damian Lillard. He's been absolutely dominating in this series. He's been averaging 50 DraftKings points, and at 9,200, that's 5.4x. His ceiling, like, there's no telling what Damian Lillard's going to do. I mean, I'm thinking we can get a solid 50 from Damian Lillard. We'll see, that we'll see him at 5.5, 6x. It'll be a pretty solid play. It's a good play. It's a safe play. Lillard's going to ball. No matter what the case is, Lillard's going to ball. So that's a play I tell you is chalk. Another one, CJ McCollum. McCollum has been balling out lately. His price is still entirely too cheap, even though it's gone up a lot. Like, I remember I snagged CJ McCollum for the 5,800 on the 14th, and then got him again on the 16th, and he's cashing out for me. So I'm thinking that we can go ahead and game 4 and rock with McCollum again. He's got a great matchup. He's matched up with Terrence Ferguson. He's averaging 6x right now, 7x ceiling. I'm thinking McCollum can ball. I'm thinking a 50, maybe like a 45. We'll see him at 6.5, 7x. McCollum is pretty chalk. Some more guys who I like here. Let's see. Enes Kanter. I probably fade Enes Kanter. I went with him the first 3 games. Game 1, he balled out, but I think that they've made the necessary adjustments to kind of shut that down. Without him being able to grab those boards like that, they decided to stop sending Steven Adams out to the 3-point line. So now there's somebody back there to grab boards. That's why Russell Westbrook's rebounding numbers have been down, but Kanter can't do his thing without those boards. It's not effective. I'm thinking that we should go ahead and fade Kanter. Steven Adams, though, he's going to be chalk. And I think that if they utilize the mismatch, Kanter is one of the worst defensive centers in the NBA. If you utilize that mismatch, he's a pretty safe bet. His floor is 5x. I'm thinking we could get 8x out of Steven Adams at this price. We might see a 45 or a 50. I'm thinking he's going to grab a lot more rebounds than normal. I'm thinking he's going to get 20 points, and that's what the Thunder need to win. So Steven Adams, I'm going to say, is pretty chalk. The only other guy who I'd say I'd hold some interest, Dennis Schroeder. He's got the potential to bring home 6x if he plays like he did last game. But other than that, that's pretty much it. I hope I helped you build a nice little player pool. Now I'm going to get into the next section. This is our Foy's starting 5. Sorry. Okay, so now that we've got that settled, I hope I help you guys build up a nice little player pool. This section here, I like to call it the starting five. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to set you guys up with the best value that I can. I'm going to give you one of my favorite pick at point guard to center. That's going to leave you, I'm going to try to leave you as much money as possible. And 3 spots where you can fill in. I gave you a nice little player pool where you can choose from, or you could do some more research, try to find somebody who I didn't find. Maybe you'll beat me. Now, all these guys, they might not play their position, you know, but they're that position eligible. I want to make sure I put that out there up front. My pick at point guard, I'm going to go with Sweet Lou Williams. You always got to rock with Sweet Lou, especially in a position where they need the win. He's a clutch guy. He's been doing this for years, and I think that Lou Williams, I'm projecting him to have a 45. It's going to be about 6x. I think that's going to do us pretty nice. Next pick, I'm going to say CJ McCollum. I'm thinking he's going to bring 44 DraftKings points. And so that's going to be 6x. He's a pretty safe pick. I don't see a reason not to rock with him. Next will be JaMychal Green. They'll probably play him at the 4, but I think that he's going to get big boy minutes. We're going to see JaMychal Green return a lot of value that was unplanned and at that price. We can't really beat that. The 4th pick, I feel like it's interchangeable. It's up to you, whoever you want to go with. But I think they're going to pan out about the same. I'd say Pascal Siakam. Or if you like, you could take Kawhi Leonard. But either of these guys, I think they're going to go crazy. Siakam is who I'm going to go with. And finally, the best value piece of them all, Andrew Bogut. We're going to rock Andrew Bogut at the 5. So that's going to leave you 19,400, averaging 6,466 per person. So I see a lot of potential here to fill in. But with these guys, that's a pretty dope little lineup. I mean, altogether, I'm expecting to bring back, let's see, 90, 84, 174, 204. So, like, if you can get, 204 off of your first 30,000. So, I mean, off your last 20,000, if you can manage to pull back 150, we're in there like swimwear. I feel like this is a nice little core. It's going to leave you guys a lot of plays, a lot of room. Like you see, you could afford a guy like Westbrook and still, or you could go cheap. I mean, there's all different routes. You can take 3 guys who are about the same price. But I feel like utilizing this, hopefully you guys can get some bread with me. And tune in tomorrow. I'll have another video for you. Hopefully it'll be better organized. This is kind of a last-minute thing. But I'm going to keep these coming every day. And make sure you like, subscribe, share, tell your friends about it. Follow me on Twitter for the updates. And let's get this bread. Yeah.